So, Mr. Novak, he was transferred to the Middleton unit.
Yes, Your Honor. I had a call set up for him yesterday at noon. And when I called in, they told me that it transferred at midnight that evening before.
Okay. All right. Well, are you ready to proceed today?
I'll do the best I can without having talked to my client. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. All right, then, Mr. Trout, you can call your first witness.
We call Heather Denicky. And I believe we took some testimony from her at the last hearing, Your Honor. I'm assuming she's still on this.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Denicky, you were sworn in at our last hearing, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, then you are still under oath.
And Your Honor, I know we took some testimony on this. I don't know if you want me to go back through any of that, or we still have everything on the record from the last one as far as why the department was involved. I know we were discussing some with as far as the father.
Yeah, I think we had a court reporter, I'm pretty sure, that day, so we should have that on record.
Now, Ms. Denicky, at the last hearing, we spoke about the father. Now, again, just to clarify, when you were speaking to the mother at the hospital, did she tell you who the father of the child was?
Yes, she did.
And what was his name?
Mario Moreno,
And where was Mr. Moreno at the time?
incarcerated.
And I believe you heard Mr. Nowak state that his client's now been shipped off to state prison. Did you ever speak to him directly?
No, I didn't. We sent a courtesy worker to go speak to him.
Okay, all right. And did the courtesy worker report back as far as how that conversation went?
She told me that she told him the children were removed and she had given him the paperwork and she returned some signed paperwork.
Okay, so he was aware that the children were removed and that they
Yes.
were in the care of the state or department.
Yes.
Okay. During the course of the investigation, did you what did the department do to try to prevent removal?
We spoke to several of Chelsea's family members who, for various reasons, weren't able to take the children. I also spoke with Maria's mother, and she also was an appropriate caregiver.
Okay, and appropriate, she had something in her background or history that prevented placement at that time.
Yes.
Okay. As far as preventing removal with the mother side of the family, were they not able to take at the time? Were there things preventing placing with them?
They weren't able to take her at the time. Now I think there would be some issues with maternal grandmother, possibly.
Okay.
Mr. Trout, if you'll give me just a second, Ms. Jeffrey is logging in. Let me just get her logged in and make sure she's connected. Okay, Ms. Jeffrey, I have you logged in now. Can you hear me okay? Okay, you're muted. That's fine. So your attorney is present and we've just started.
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Okay.
I can barely hear you, but I can hear you.
Okay, we've just started taking some additional testimony and your attorney is present today. So we haven't done very much. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Denicky, and sorry, Mr. Trout, you may proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Now, Ms. Denicky, did you attempt a safety plan with one of the children at this time?
I did attempt a safety plan with the 3-year-old child, and that wasn't able to be completed. There was no one who could be a supervising party at that time.
Okay. Has anybody come forward at this time and requested home studies or anything on to be placement?
No one has requested a home study.
Okay, that you're aware of. Okay.
Oh, I don't think that my parents or anyone is know that they're supposed to request a home study. I thought you guys were just gonna do that.
Okay, hang on, Miss Jeffrey. We'll
Yes,
get
ma'am.
to you, okay?
Ms. Jeffrey, I'm sorry. You'll have to wait until you're called as a witness, okay?
I'm
And
sorry.
no, you're fine, and I'll take care of that for you, okay? I'm sorry, Judge, go ahead.
It's okay. All right. Mr. Trout, go ahead.
Okay. Are the children in a foster home placement at this time?
Yes.
And how are they doing?
The last that I knew, they were doing well.
Okay. When was the last time that you had any contact with them or checked on them?
Let me check and see. I mean, it would have been before our last hearing that I had contact with them. St. Francis has most likely had contact with them since then. The last time that I called and checked on Anaya was on February 22nd at the hospital.
Okay.
That was the day that she was released.
Okay.
And then with Kiara, I didn't personally have contact with her, but I sent a courtesy who had contact with her on February 15th, face to face.
Okay. And both children have been doing well in the placement to your knowledge?
Yes.
Is the younger child, has she, to your knowledge, they've started back with feedings and got the medical issues straightened out?
Yes. To my knowledge, they had all of that done before she was released from the hospital.
Okay. And once we removed, do you believe that removal was in the best interest of the children?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Denicky, we began a hearing on the 23rd of February. Were you present at that hearing?
Yes.
Okay, do you recall at that hearing that we had asked the court, that Chelsea had provided a child caregiver resource form to you all, and she had named Tamika Calloway as the person she wanted the children placed with. And do you recall us asking for a home study on her at that time at the last hearing?
No, I don't.
Okay. There were a list of 4 different family members that Chelsea provided to you all. One is Tamika Calloway, and then Maya Jeffrey, and Cleta Calloway, and Lori Calloway, in that order. And of course, we made Chelsea's aware that they can only do one home study at a time, but she had requested that a home study be done on those folks in that order, if necessary, if one can't pass a home study. Were you not aware of that?
No, that must have been when you broke out with the St. Francis workers and I wasn't present.
Okay. I thought that we got that on the record, but at any rate, you don't have a problem with conducting or requesting home studies in that regard, do you?
No.
Okay. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
1 second. I'm sorry. I was gonna walk over to my aunt's really fast. It's right across the street. I'm still listening, but I just want her to hear everything too.
Chelsea, you'll need to mute your speaker, please.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, of course, I don't know what you all talked about in our breakout room, but I don't have any notes that during our hearing that we discussed any of that. And so I just think we need to make sure, and perhaps the St. Francis folks know these names and Ms. Denicky just does not, but.
If I may, Your Honor, I know Mr. Jackson and I, when we spoke in a breakout room before, he mentioned this to me, and I think during announcements, we mentioned that we would be asking for something. I'm not sure that we discussed it during the actual testimony, but it was brought up, and I think St. Francis is aware of that list.
Okay, we'll get to that and make sure.
And just to clarify, there was a child placement resource form that was filed with the court on February the 16th of 2023. And those named in that form, in the order that they're named, is what Chelsea is requesting that they conduct home studies on, if necessary.
Okay. And I think we can take that up with the St. Francis witness to see where we are with that.
Yes, ma'am.
I think Ms. Denneky's just out of that loop.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You have any other questions for Ms. Denneky?
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Nowak?
Thank you, Judge. And just briefly, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Denke or Denneky?
Didnicky.
Denneky. Thank you, ma'am. Have you met with Mario either in person or by phone?
I have not. We sent a courtesy worker to meet with him.
How does that work when you send a courtesy worker?
It's a worker with the department, Child Protective Services, and she goes out and meets with him face to face, someone who works in the area where he was incarcerated. So she would do the same things that I would do. She would inform him that the children were removed, and she did an interview with him, and then she passes the information back to me.
And is that interview transcribed somewhere?
Yes, I believe so. Let me just check and make sure.
Is it in the investigative report?
I'm not sure. I would have to check and look. I would have to look and see. I know that it is in my case notes.
Okay. I'm telling you, I looked at the affidavit and I didn't see it, but Heather, you know what? I might have missed it. Would you be willing to provide me with a copy of the notes from that interview?
I can, and I will check and see if they're in the investigative report as well, because they may be there.
Thank you so much. Did Mario claim to be the father?
Yes, he did.
Okay. This might seem like kind of a silly question because I know the man's incarcerated, but you know, other than that fact, what allegations does the department have that Mario is a threat to the safety of these children?
I don't have any at this time. Nothing
So
current.
As far as you know, and as far as the department knows, Mario is not a threat to the physical health or safety of the children, correct?
As far as I know at this time.
You mentioned taking a look at Mario's mother as a potential placement, correct?
Yes.
And why did that not work out?
Due to her criminal history.
What is her criminal history?
I will have to go back in and look.
While she's looking, Mr. Novak, I would just tell you, I'm looking at the investigative report. There is a paragraph in there that contains notes, obviously, that the courtesy worker provided.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for that. It's single spaced, and sometimes my eyes get a little old. I'm trying to read some of this stuff.
Am I allowed to say anything? I'm sorry.
You will, Ms. Jeffrey, at the appropriate time. Another witness is testifying right now, so when it's your turn, you will.
Hey, Heather, if you can just get that information to me, if you can email it to me, that'd be fine.
Okay. I mean, I did find it. Do you want me to go ahead and say it?
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. So we've got burglary of a habitation, theft of property, assault causes bodily injury, driving while intoxicated, theft of property, another burglary of habitation, deadly conduct, assault of a public servant, and
this is on Mario's mother?
Angela Moreno, yes.
That's all. You had me at hello, Heather. Thank you. That's all I need.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm going to pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Barfield.
Yeah, ma'am. Now it's my understanding that I believe it's Anaya was moved to San Antonio. Did I hear that correctly?
I believe it's around San Antonio.
Okay. And what was and forgive me, I was not present at the last hearing. I think I was in trial, but anyway, what was the purpose of moving to San Antonio?
It's St. Francis who finds placement, so you would need to ask them why she went there.
Okay. Well, I'm asking the wrong person. I'm asking the wrong person. Judge, I don't have any other questions.
All right, Mr. Trout, anything further of Ms. Denicky?
Nothing further from Ms. Denicky, Your Honor.
Anybody else have any other questions for Ms. Denicky?
No, Your Honor.
No, ma'am.
I do if I'm allowed to speak.
Okay, again, Ms. Jeffrey, she's testifying. Do you need to talk to your attorney for a minute?
Yes, ma'am, if that's okay. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I don't know. I just didn't understand why everybody else was allowed to speak and I wasn't.
Well, the attorneys are questioning a witness. Those are the only other people that are talking right now, is the lawyers are asking the witness questions. So do you want to talk to your lawyer?
No, it's fine.
Okay, all right. I'm sure that he's going to call you when that time comes around, okay? All right. And I'll make sure that you have an opportunity to tell me whatever you're wanting to make sure that
Or
we
could I
know.
talk to him for a second if that's fine?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'll step out. Okay. Yeah, you bet.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
All right, Miss Jeffrey, you're going to get a little prompt and you can say join. Okay, anybody else have any questions for Ms. Denicky?
No, ma'am.
Oh, Judge.
All right, then you can call your next witness.
We called Jennifer Campos, and how are you employed?
I'm a permanency specialist for St. Francis Ministries.
Okay. And you're familiar with the case involving the 2 Merino children?
Yes, sir.
And how are you familiar with that?
It was given to me during investigations, and I have been in contact with Chelsea and everybody.
Okay. There were some questions earlier. You were here for the questioning earlier with Ms. Denicky.
Mhm.
There were some questions earlier as far as possible home studies and looking at some family. Are you aware of those?
We actually asked for the resource form just a couple minutes ago, and we're going to look over that and move on and see about home studies on who she asked to be done on.
Okay. And you're aware that the resource form that she's done before has 4 people and she would like for them looked in that order?
Correct.
Okay. But that is something that y'all are getting started working on, correct?
Correct.
Okay. There's also a question on, I believe Mr. Barfield asked of why the child was moved. Now, where are the children?
Is in a foster home and is in a foster home and by San Antonio.
Okay. And when was that? When was she moved down there?
When she was released from the hospital, I believe on the 22nd or 23rd of February.
Okay. And what was the why was she moved down there?
Anaya is a primary medically needy child, and we did try and find foster homes within the area closer to here that would be able to care for her, and there was nobody that was able to take on a child with her needs. So the home that she is in is a special needs home, which is a PMN home, and they can care for her and take care of her, in their best interest and make sure she's well taken care of.
Okay, so the sole purpose of having her move down there was the closest place we could find a medically needy placement for her.
Correct.
To take care of her special needs.
Correct.
How is the child doing since she's been down there?
As far as I know, she is doing good.
Sure.
She has she's being taken care of. That's really all I know at the moment. I haven't really had any updates much on her.
Now they began the feedings back when she was in the hospital.
Correct.
Do we know if she gained weight? Is her numbers looking better?
While she was in the hospital, yes, she had gained some weight. She was starting to improve a lot more from when she was brought into the hospital.
Okay. And how is the older child doing?
Kiara is doing really well. She's in pre-K and everybody loves her. The foster mom actually sent me a picture of her and told me that information. She did say that I could pass it along to mom, and which I did. So she's doing very well.
Okay. I know at the last hearing, I believe there was some Mr. Jackson and his client were asking about some visitations. That we worked on getting that.
Yes, actually, our family support worker, she reached out to Chelsea today and has set up the virtual visits between her and Anaya. I'm still waiting on somebody from Lubbock to get with me. They did email me this morning asking the supervisor down there if they had anybody that was able to supervise the visits in Lubbock. So I'm just waiting on that. But as soon as I know, those will be set up.
Okay, and is that going to be in person, or are those going to be virtual too?
Kiara's are going to be in person.
Okay.
Unless Miss Jeffrey can't make it to Lubbock, then we'll figure something else out.
Okay, and is there going to be any offer with her if she's having issues getting down there, any transportation to get her there on visits?
Yes, I believe my supervisor had told Joel that if need to, we could probably transport Kiara down here and do them here at the St. Francis office as well.
Okay, so we're working on possibly either way, either mother going down there or child coming up here for
Yes.
yes. Okay. Outside of that, do you have any other updates as far as how the children are doing?
No, sir.
I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Judge. Jennifer, you were present at the last hearing. Is that right?
Correct.
And at that hearing, do you recall when we talked about that child resource form that named the names that she had picked for possible placement?
I do not recall.
Okay. Did she have a visit schedule that has been moved with either child?
No, sir.
Okay. And as far as trying to find somebody to supervise this visitation with Kiara, if the department were to transport the child from Lubbock to here, couldn't the department supervise that?
Yeah, yes, we would supervise that here. I did speak with Miss Jeffrey and ask her if she could travel to Lubbock, and she informed me yes. So.
Okay. And so exactly what is the holdup on finding somebody to supervise the visit in Lubbock?
The form was submitted and I was waiting on somebody from Lubbock to reach out to me. They just reached out to me. The form was submitted this week.
Okay. All right. And so you're just waiting to hear back from them?
Yes, sir.
And you said that Ms. Jeffries has been in touch with you. Has she been compliant?
Yes, sir.
And has she started, or have you started discussing services with her at this time?
No, I am meeting with her on Friday. I have not set up a time with her, but we will be meeting on Friday.
Okay. I think at the last hearing, I talked to you about informing Ms. Jeffries about the condition of Anaya. And we were, if you recall, we were kind of asking for more than she's just doing good or she's doing fine. We were wanting more specifics.
Right.
Are you willing to go ahead and provide her with that information about the numbers, her weight, condition, things of that nature as you receive that information?
Of course.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness.
Okay, and Mr. Noack.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Campos, have you had any interaction with Mario Marino, whether phone calls, correspondence, or in person?
No, sir.
That's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Barfield.
Thank you. Ma'am, in regards to this case, my understanding is, to your knowledge, both children are doing well in foster care. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And from your testimony, you don't know of any specific incidences with any other than what's already existing medically. No critical or emergency type issues medically with Anaya. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you know, have you do you know if you sent me, I've been getting these DocuSign things do you know if you sent me the foster placement on those kids for my records?
I don't think they've been sent to you, but I can get them sent to you.
And if you want it, you can either do it through if you could give me the contact information for placement so that I could get some more specific information, that would be greatly helpful to me.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all the questions I have, Judge.
All right, Mr. Trout, anything further of this witness?
Nothing further from Ms. Campos, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. Trout?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Jackson?
If I could just, Ms. Jeffrey, in your opinion, have I addressed everything you wanted me to address?
Yes, sir. Also, I was kind of wondering, like about with the updates with the children. If I could get more than they're good or they're well. I guess it's kind of like the same. I don't know. I just feel like I would like to be updated a little more because I haven't got to see him in a couple of weeks. Plus, also, I haven't got to hear their voice. I haven't got to talk to them on the phone, and so I kind of would like for my children to know, that I am thinking about them, and they're young, and so I don't want them thinking that mom is just not there or something.
Yeah, we're trying to get a
And then-
visitation set up as soon as we possibly can.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Jackson,
Yes, ma'am.
do you think your client would benefit or appreciate a CASA advocate being appointed to these children?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay,
What's that?
I'll let him explain it to you later, and then if you decide that that's something you might want to look at, he can let me know. Okay. Mr. Jackson, any witnesses to call today?
No, ma'am.
All right, you rest.
Arrest, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Nowak.
Rest, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Barfield, any witnesses to call today?
No witnesses, just a recommendation, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trout, I didn't ask you, you rest.
I rest, Your Honor.
All right, everybody close.
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 All right, Mr. Barfield, what is your recommendation today?
My recommendation is the department remain temporary managing conservator of the children, the placement continue. I do recommend that the home studies continue as scheduled, and that I see no issue with mom obviously getting visits when that can be organized. It's my understanding that Ms. Campos is going to give me contact information so that I can contact placements and get more specific information, kind of what's going on as well.
Okay. At this time, then I do find the evidence is sufficient to name the department as temporary managing conservator of both children. based on the ongoing continuing danger to the children, to remain in the home, and also based on mom's agreement to this, the fact that father is incarcerated and is not capable of taking care of the children at this time. We'll get mom's
Ma'am,
visit set up. We're going to get, I'm not going to order any child support or medical support at this time for mom. I show that Mr. Marino is an alleged father, so obviously I can't set any child support on him at this time. Mr. Novak, when you have contact with him, I'd appreciate if one of your first inquiries is whether he wants genetic testing so that we can get on that since it takes a while.
Yes, Judge.
Okay. And then our status hearing is scheduled for April 4th of 2023, and that is on a 9 o'clock docket. All right, Ms. Jeffrey, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
At the last court hearing, I mean, I don't want child support by any means, but he's the father of them. That was mentioned in the last one. Also,
Okay. What I'm saying is
And
that
then-
I'm not
what was-
ordering. Hang on. Let me explain. Right
No,
now,
no,
the state that hang on.
I'm
hang on.
sorry.
The state has custody of the children right now. So what I'm saying is I'm not going to order you to, I'm not ordering you to pay any child support or medical support to the state. I want you to keep your resources to travel and see the children, you know, get your services worked, get your situation, you know, straightened out so that the kids
Yes,
can
ma'am.
come home. Okay. Now, with respect to the father, because you all aren't
Yes,
married,
ma'am. Thank you.
okay, because you weren't married to the father, we have to legally determine that he is the father. And he has the right to ask for genetic testing if he wants it. He may not want it. And if he doesn't, that's
Yes,
fine.
ma'am.
And then
Yes.
I'll hang on. You and I have a lag. I think your internet, there's a lag. So give me just a minute. So his attorney needs to talk to him about
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
He may not want testing. And then I'll adjudicate him as the legal father of the children. Okay. Then
Yes.
later on, we can deal with whether or not he may pay you child support if the children come back into your care.
Yes, ma'am. I don't want the child support. What was the thing that you were saying? Was my agreement? I'm sorry. So are we still going to be looking for placement like in the meantime, or that? I think what I got from it was that they haven't looked yet, or they haven't started doing them. So I was just wondering, do you know when maybe they would start doing that?
Are you talking about the home studies?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My understanding is that they will initiate, you know, the first home study. Ms. Campos, is that correct?
Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll take the first people on your list. We'll look at them. We'll do a home study. Okay. And I'm going to
Yes,
order
ma'am.
that home study be expedited because we've let some grass grow
Thank
under
you.
our feet.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
And that's going to be on who, Ms. Campos?
On the first person that she listed, I don't have the resource form in front of me,
That's
so.
Tamika Calloway.
Tamika Calloway. Okay.
Okay.
I'll get an expedited order done, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. All right. So Ms. Jeffrey, they'll get that started. I've ordered that to be what we call expedited, which means they have to hurry up. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Was there, or I'm sorry. Never mind. You're fine.
Okay. All right, then I'll see everybody back on April 4th on a 9 o'clock docket. Between now and then, they're going to sit down with you, Ms. Jeffrey, and talk about your services, and you can get started on those right away.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Your
All
Honor,
right,
may I say
Steph.
something real quick?
sure.
It's for Ms. Campos. I know you said you were getting a meeting time set up with, Ms. Jeffrey for Friday, I believe.
Yes, sir.
If you could, in the meantime, try to get up with placement is with, both kids, but especially with Anaya, and see if you can get that information as far as weight, numbers, and get a little more detailed information for her so that when you meet with her Friday, you can provide her with that, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I would appreciate that. Thank you. And then if you'll get Mr. Barfield placement information so that he can be verifying that information himself.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. And everybody have a good rest of your day.
Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Judge.
right.